Shalom and Chag Sameach, everyone. If you're keeping the Feast of Passover, I've got a couple of fun facts for you. First fact is, with enough peanut butter, you can even make matzah taste good. Here's the second fun fact. It's actually from Exodus chapter 12, and I'm beginning to read in verse 3. On the 10th day of this month, every man shall take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the persons. According to each man's need, you shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. I don't know if you've ever noticed that interesting progression of passages from a lamb to the lamb to your lamb. It's important to me. I remember when I was a teenager, I was studying comparative religion, and I was reading about, Muhammad and Buddha and Jesus, and I thought to myself, well, Jesus is a lamb. He is a choice. He is a selection on the religion menu. It was a few years later when someone actually gave me a pocket New Testament, a Brit Chadashah, and I began to read the words of Yeshua. And I began to think, he's more than a lamb. He may be the lamb. He may be the most brilliant philosopher, religious leader, intellect who ever lived. But some years later, actually it was in August of 1981, God spoke to me. And he said, it's not enough that I am a lamb or the lamb. Scott, I need to be your lamb. Just as your forefathers needed to take personal responsibility in taking a lamb and applying the blood and internalizing the body, so must you, Scott, take personal responsibility. I must be your lamb if my death and resurrection would be efficacious for your salvation. I'm happy to say that he is my lamb, that in celebrating the Passover, this is much more than a memorial of something that happened 3,500 years ago. This is something that happened to me. My lamb died, atoned for my sins, rose from the dead, and murdered sin and death through his resurrection. My Passover prayer for you is that Yeshua is more than a lamb or the lamb, that he is indeed your lamb, and that you're enjoying all the benefits of his perfect life, his atoning sacrifice, and his having risen from the dead. Happy Passover.